Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com.
And this is Travis from Oddfellows Thoughts on YouTube.
And we are back for part two. Part two, Travis.
Yes.
We need to learn to talk less.
I thought we were.
That's true. We did make a concerted effort not to talk so much. But we are back for part two of our Best of 2012. Hopefully you've tuned in for the part one where we had a bunch of categories that we talked about, what our favorite things were in those categories, and we're going to finish that up here in part two, along with our friend Lee, who left us some choices as well for these categories. So Travis, let's get right into it. So what I have here for the next Best of 2012 category is for Best Cover.
Mm-hmm. Wonder Woman issue 12.
Okay.
I absolutely love that cover. It's the cover where it's like they're floating in the sky or whatever. She has a hold of Apollo. Apollo is kind of draped off of her. Some arrows are spilling down. He's got his bow. Wonder Woman is obviously the dominant figure in that, and she's kissing him. I like.
Oh, that one.
It's a gorgeous cover by Cliff Chiang. I love the kind of role reversal of it. Usually, stereotypically you see kind of the romance kind of cover type looking like thing. It's always the woman draped over the strong male figure and whatnot. And this is just a complete opposite of that. Mm-hmm. And I just absolutely think it's gorgeous. And if I could get a mere, $2,500 or so, I would probably own the original stuck on my wall somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
crossing
my fingers to the lottery.
I thought you were being redundant there when you said what would you say about Cliff Chiang's work on that? The gorgeous art.
Yes.
I think you're being redundant.
Yeah.
You don't have to say gorgeous in regards to Cliff Chiang's art.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a good cover. I do remember that one. That was excellent. So did you have a hard time with this one? Because I remember you telling me that you had a hard time with this category last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of great covers out there. There's another cover. I mean, honorable mention, Spaceman, and I want to say it's like issue 5 or 6 miniseries that came out by Vertigo, and it's a Dave Johnson cover. It has a little girl, and she's not a lot of detail on her. She's standing there. She happens to have a handgun in her hand, but she's hanging onto a tether line of an astronaut, and the astronaut is in the position to almost be like a float, like if you were walking in the Macy's parade, mm-hmm. But it's actually an astronaut. So it looks like she's holding a balloon, and the balloon is an astronaut.
Oh, okay.
And that is, I love that cover too. The image of that is another outstanding cover. I'm sure there are a few more if I pondered longer. I tried not to think too hard about it because I start thinking about all the great covers, and there are lots of them out there, and it's really hard.
Oh yeah, it was extremely hard for me. And I actually went through my entire list of comics that I don't know about you, but I make a list of comics that I buy every week, and I have a spreadsheet where I have every month and every week the purchases for those months. And so I went through the entire list.
Oh dear.
and so I use StashMyComics.com to manage my list mm-hmm. Of comics, and I do that partly for the covers that they put into it as well. So then what I did is I searched all the titles in my collection and looked at the covers published from January through December, mm-hmm. and I had to do that over 2 nights. And
that's
it was
a
hard.
Lot of covers to look at.
Yeah, it was, but it was nice too. It was kind of neat to go back and look at all these, and I had a really hard time with this one. I don't recall what my choice was for this last year. Oh yeah, I do. It was the Daredevil issue, where he's doing the Snow Angel, I think.
Uh-huh.
Is that the one?
Well, that's another honorable mention one too for this year. That I don't remember which issue of Daredevil it was, but it's the one with Mole Man on it, and it looks like a wood print cut or something.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah. But I remember last year that was a pretty easy choice for me. But this year I had a really hard time. So I went through all those, and it turned out to be even harder because the more covers I saw, the more I wanted to add to my honorable mention
Right.
list.
Yeah. That's why I didn't just literally go through every comic I got last year. Well, plus it'd take forever, but
Yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah. So, but I will mention my honorable mentions because I just think they're lovely covers. Rachel Rising #7 by Terry Moore. When we were talking on the last episode, Travis, about his covers,
Hmm.
that's the one I was thinking of specifically. And this is the cover where the female character is sitting in a chair in the foreground, and the background there's all this stuff going on. But it's really not. It's really not what's on the cover. It's for me, it was the visually striking color contrasts between all the elements that was like, wow, that is really eye-catching, and I'm sure in part he's doing that to try and capture people's attention, when this book's on the shelf compared to all the other stuff, and I think he very well succeeded in that attempt. Another one you mentioned Daredevil. I chose Daredevil #12. And this is a cover by Paulo Rivera, and yes, there's the sexiness of it, but it's the one where the assistant DA. This is the date issue.
Oh, right.
Where
Yeah.
Matt goes on the date with the assistant DA, and so she's apparently unbuttoning her blouse, and what you see is Matt's visualization through his radar of the front of her. And you see so you see a little bit of her chest. She's covered up, but you still see that.
Sure.
So it's sexy. But curiously, you look at it, and the way that the lines are drawn, and the formation of the shirt, and this may just be me, but I see a heart shape in there. And that goes with the whole idea of this date, and the romantic interest of it. I just thought it was a neat little cover. Pretty much, and again, I'm going with a bit of the sexiness. I guess I'm reverting to the lowest common denominator of fanboydom. Anything by Adam Hughes.
Yeah.
And well, okay. Let me be more specific. I'm talking about his fairest covers.
Covers, right.
That last one, #9, or not last one, but the #9 issue, that was, and again, yes, it's sexy, but that's really not what's drawing my attention to it. It's the intricate detail of one of the characters' clothing. It's just like, wow, and also the color contrast. But yes, it's good. And issue 7, that's the one where there's a woman on the cover, and yes, she's naked, but she's covered up, but she's got blood dripping from her mouth, and because she's it turns out she's a monstrous character in some fashion. But it looks very film noirish in the setting of it, but it's again just very striking with the shadows of the window coming through. It's just really nice. Okay, but anyway, those are some of my choices. There's just too many good covers. But my winner, and this probably won by virtue of the anniversary aspect of it, but I was just blown away, and also by the fact that it came out the last week, I believe, of December. But this is the cover to Amazing Spider-Man #700.
The one with all the little versions. I mean, all the colored little people.
Yeah, the collage, and this is done by French artist Mr. Garcin. And this, so I looked this up. I was really first of all, I wondered, is Mr. Garcin, is that like a pseudonym for somebody? Because I didn't recognize that name, but it turns out no, he's an actual artist. And he does collage art, among other things. And he's done a few pieces. Basically, he just did them. He wasn't commissioned to do, as I understand it. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. But he did this collage piece for Spider-Man because he wanted to. And then Marvel saw it. Somehow Marvel got their attention, got drawn to it, and they're like, we'd like to use that. But yeah, it's all these pictures of Spider-Man and Venom and other characters to form the one of Spider-Man's eyes on his mask. It's just, if you haven't looked at it, and I can't imagine you've seen it though, right?
Yeah, I dislike it.
Oh, you don't like it? Oh,
No,
wow.
not at all.
Oh, well, okay.
No, that's fine. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care for it. I like some of the other covers that came out for that issue better than that one.
Oh,
sure.
see, now those I actually haven't seen.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean for this? I'm sorry.
Issue 700.
I went to the previous issues of the title. Yeah, there's some of those other ones for 700 are good too. But I know I just like, like I said, this may have won more by virtue of the fact that it's, a 700th issue. It's the last issue. So there's a lot of attention on anyway. But I like it. I actually like it. I love the collage aspect of it.
Well, I like that aspect of it. I just don't think it's a very good looking cover for a cover's sake. So.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Lee chose the cover to Harbinger number 3. And so this is a cover of one of the characters in the book, the main character, who it's basically a close-up of this guy's face, looking kind of downwards at you. And his eyes are glowing. And so, if you know anything about the Harbinger book, he's kind of I don't know what they refer to it, but he's kind of a telepath, or he's got some psionic powers or something like that. I'm probably screwing that up, but anyway, he's powers of the mind. And so Lee's comment is that Pete just looks like he's staring into your soul, and I have to agree, it does. It's a really good cover. Let's see, the cover artist is Arturo Lozzi. So, all right. Cover is done. Let's go on to best moment. And I don't know about you, Travis. I had a really hard time with this one.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
What's your best moment?
There are a couple, but my best moment is once again from Wonder Woman issue 12, where she drops her bracelets. They sink into the ground. Don't just bounce off the ground. They sink into the ground. And which god is it? Dimitri? No. Goddess of the Hunt. At any rate, she kind of scoffs at Wonder Woman for dropping her best defense, and Wonder Woman goes,
right.
"No, these bracelets weren't for me. They were for you." And then she proceeds to literally punch, this goddess in the face. She still has fist marks on her face from where Wonder Woman punched her out.
That's Artemis, right?
Artemis, yes. Absolutely love that moment. I mean,
So the
still
punching,
giddy over that.
the punching part, or just that whole scene that you just...
That whole scene, her dropping the bracelets and going, "Oh no, these bracelets were for you," and then the lightning coming down and her storming forward and beating the crap out of her. Just that dropping the bracelets and going, "Oh no, these bracelets were basically to slow Wonder Woman down. The bracelets are there as to help keep her in check." And I'm just like, damn, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That just makes Wonder Woman a serious badass.
Mm-hmm.
Her being a demigod and not just an extra tough Amazon, I just think is awesome. I love it to death. So that's my favorite moment.
And so that was an easy pick for you, huh?
Yeah, the runner-up would be like issue number 1 of Saga. You open that first page, and Alana is giving birth, and she's grunting and groaning, and makes the comment, "Am I shitting? I feel like I'm shitting." If you've had kids, being part of that whole birthing experience and whatnot, to me that just set the book for me as feeling very genuine and very cool, and so that would be a runner-up moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see, okay. I had a really hard time with this one too.
Yeah,
there were a couple moments that was like, like kind of wow moments that I remember reading in the past year, and so I kind of went with that. But now that you mention that, so I guess I could have chosen that moment when I turned the page and I saw those women with the legs and the heads from Saga as a moment. But I'm sorry. Were you done? Were you?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. So what I went with. So this was hard. So there were a couple I just chose these two, and one I'll just say as an honorable mention, and one is the winner, but they're really kind of equal in my brain. And the honorable mention I'll say is when Robin kills in Batman and Robin #7. And we've seen heroes kill all the time in comics over the years. But with Batman, it's always a big thing that he does not kill.
Right.
That's his number one rule. No one dies. Although if you read the latest issue of Batman Incorporated, he doesn't do a very good job of no one dying. But it's not like, but he doesn't kill. And then you couple him with a kid, an 8-year-old kid who has been trained since he could be trained to be an assassin. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the charms of Batman and Robin, right? But then when Damian actually does put his finger through a guy's head, mm-hmm. To prevent him from basically not hurting him but his father, or
right.
Eventually killing his father, because that's what the guy will do if he isn't stopped. At least that's how Damian sees it. So I was impressed that they actually went that route, that they actually had Damian do this. And so I read that issue and I'm like, oh my God, what is Bruce going to do? Damian just committed the most heinous act,
right?
That Batman would judge, right? And so I thought, oh, there's this great story potential, great character development, the potential going on here, and then they kind of just dropped it.
Right.
But at that time, that month, when I read that issue, I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So that's an honorable mention. And in a similar vein, that in the oh my God, what's going to happen next? So this is my winner, and this is from Before Watchmen Minutemen #4. And so there's this scene at the end of it that suggests, and you remember the characters Hooded Justice and Silhouette. Mm-hmm. And so I remember from Watchmen, Silhouette was the lesbian superhero who ended up getting murdered by I can't remember the character's name, but she got murdered, and it was implied that it was because of her. Because she was a lesbian, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've actually read Watchmen, but they talk about this in this issue of Minutemen #4. But it wasn't the murder that was the moment. It was, and I may have misread this because I did a little bit of research on this issue just to make sure I wasn't just totally off in left field. But when I first read this issue, it seemed to me that Hooded Justice was I have to back up a second. So there's a scene in there where we learn more about Silhouette's past in Germany, mm-hmm. and she happens upon this German man who has tortured and killed Silhouette's sister, in a gruesome way. You don't really see a whole lot because it's Darwin Cook, and he doesn't go into that right. That level of gore. But it's pretty obvious what's happened here. And so then there's another scene. There's a later scene in the modern day of the story, and where it seems to me that Hooded Justice either is that same guy, that same German. So that's where my brain went, and I'm like, holy crap, Right. So he's actually behind this, and not to say that he murdered Silhouette, but just that connection was like, wow, how's that going to tie in? But then I started thinking about it, like, well, maybe he either did murder Silhouette or manipulated events to get this other guy to do it, right? And so it was all kind of up in the air, and then I read the next issue, and it seems like Hooded Justice is perhaps not the good guy that we thought he was. Mm-hmm. So, but that first moment when I read that, I'm like, oh my God! So that's kind of how I defined the moment for me. It was like I got a visceral reaction,
right,
from reading that particular scene. So, but I like yours too. That's a pretty awesome scene. Let's see. Lee has a moment, and he has spoiler in all caps. um, but
You've been warned.
but I was spoiled by it, and I am going to I'm going to pause for a second after I say this. I'm going to reveal the events that Lee has revealed to me in Walking Dead number 100. So if you do not want to be spoiled about this, fast forward like 1 minute, and I'm going to have to time this. Or Travis, do you care about this? Do you?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine knowing about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Countdown starts now. The spoiler is Glenn's death in Walking Dead 100. Lee says maybe not the best, but without a doubt the most memorable. And Glenn is, oh gosh, I can't remember which character that is at the moment. I think it's the older guy.
Oh, in the TV show, it's the Asian guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. Who am I thinking of?
That's not Daryl. What's his name?
Daryl. No, yeah.
It wasn't Daryl.
All right.
Whatever.
Anyway, I messed that up.
So
Glenn. But Glenn. So that's still a major character from early on in the title. So that's too bad. Poor Glenn. All right. I think our minute's about up.
Your minute's up.
Okay. So there you go. That was the best moment for everybody. Okay. See, I have this problem where I read so much stuff, or, like with Walking Dead, I read the trades and then I wait for 2 or 3 trades to come out before I go buy them. So I have not read a Walking Dead comic in forever. It seems like. And so then I forget who's who, what's what. So if you were to come to me and say, okay, name 5 characters from The Walking Dead, I could not do it. But I know the story, and as soon as I start reading, I know who I'm looking at, I know what's going on, and plus I kind of stopped watching the TV series. Well, I got so far behind. It's like,
yeah.
Well, okay, first of all,
but it's different than the comic book.
Oh yeah, it is. I did watch the first season, and then my wife and I started watching the second season, and then we kind of stopped because life, and we got busy, and finding time for both of us to sit down for an hour to watch something is really hard, especially since we both have our own interests. Mine involving comics for the most part, and hers involves pretty much any reality TV show. That's not true. But it's really hard for us to do that. So then we didn't watch the second season for a while, and then my DVR crapped out on me, and I lost them all.
That sucks. Right.
And so then I got the new DVR, and then we weren't getting AMC.
Right.
From our
missed the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did too, didn't you?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'll just wait for season 2 to come out on DVD, and then I'll get them and I'll get caught up. And I believe they have come out, and I haven't done that yet. So there you go. But I'll still read the comic. Okay, let's go on. Where are we? Oh, best event.
Are you kidding? I don't like events.
That's right.
The only good event is an event that didn't happen.
Oh my God. Okay, so really you have no
None.
there?
None.
Oh.
No, A versus X. Yeah, that's what it is. No, kidding. Jesus.
Oh God, no. That was not good.
3 issues into that disaster.
What about Raw World?
See, I have that written down in the parentheses. If I was forced to pick something, that would probably be it. I liked large parts of Court of the Owls too. I liked Court of the Owls in the Bat book.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
But outside of that, I didn't so much. I liked it in the Bat book. But that's how I am with almost any event. The book that it's supposed to be in, I enjoy it there. As soon as it becomes a crossover, or I understand why it does that, because it's supposed to be a universe, and obviously if something as huge is happening in Gotham, for instance, anybody else who's operating in Gotham, why wouldn't they be in conflict with it? I understand that, But it, if it's not executed very well, if all the writers and everybody isn't all on board and it doesn't work into their plot line, then it becomes this disruptive, annoying thing that screws up whatever other books I might be reading. So I'm not a fan of the Rot World one is fine because it hasn't disrupted the 3 books that it's in, really, because it was always planned to be part of those books. And so it doesn't feel disruptive. Whereas like the other events that that I've read either just sucked or they felt disruptive for some of the other books that I was reading. So
yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. I chose Court of Owls. I was not, as far as events go, I didn't really think there was a whole lot to pick from anyway.
No, there wasn't.
But I did choose Court of Owls in the main Batman book. When they expanded it to the Night of the Owls thing and across the Batman line, I was like, oh god, it's too much of a quote unquote good thing.
Right.
And now we have the death of the family thing going on. It's like,
But that one makes more sense that it's tying up the books, that it's tying up them, because literally the Joker is going after the Bat family. If he's going after the Bat family, it would make 0 sense that he doesn't, in some sense, show up in Nightwing and Batman and Robin and those things. I mean, because he's targeting those people. He's not targeting Batman. He's targeting everybody else. So I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah, but still, it's just I don't know.
It's fatiguing. It's fatiguing and really annoying, especially if the things happen and the writers or creators that are on those other books already had plans going on, and somewhere in their middle of their thing they had to do something else.
Although I will admit that I know, and I've only read a few of these Death of the Family tie-ins, but it seems less disruptive this time than during the Night of the Owls part. It just seems like
I think people had more time to plan that this was going to be part of what was going on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what I chose, Court of Owls, just because I wanted to choose something. Lee has event down, but he doesn't have anything written down for it. So I guess that's an answer right there.
I agree with him.
I'm outvoted. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Ongoing, the best ongoing comic.
Wonder Woman.
Do you want to elaborate any more than you already have?
Well, I don't think I need to elaborate more than I have. I think it's just an outstanding book. It's Brian Aurelio's interpretation of the gods, the Greek gods, and how they function now, and they got their own goals going on. I love his version of war, for instance. I love this concept that Zeus has actually sired a dozen or so children. So there's quite a few demigods out there. Hera has spent her time killing off these, or as best she can, killing off all these, bastard children that he has had. And one of the latest issues, they actually, they question Hera, why, Zola questions, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to kill me? I didn't cheat on you. It was Zeus that cheated on you. Why aren't you going after Zeus? And she's like, but that's my husband. You don't go after Zeus. And I just love it. I love all of that. It is so cool. It's just a really great way to tell the story. It is so much fresher and more interesting and different and kind of removed in a way from the rest of the DC universe.
I'd say almost completely removed.
Except for Batwoman. In Batwoman,
oh yeah,
they treat her the same way in that. She is treated like this kind of demi-goddess kind of a person. And I think they do a very good job in that of treating her the same way. It's the abhorrent way they treat her in Justice.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
The way she's treated in Axe and Justice League, I think, is horrific. in comparison to how she is in her own title.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas in the Batwoman title, she acts the same way in the Batwoman title that she does in her own title.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like I said, and then Cliff Chang when he's on the book, the art is outstanding.
Well, now the other guy isn't bad.
Tony Atkins,
yeah.
He's okay. He's okay. He's suitable. He's a suitable, to give Cliff Chang the break that Cliff needs to catch up and do what he needs to do. Yeah, but it's above and beyond when Cliff Chang's on.
Oh yeah, yeah. You remember when we first started looking at the New 52s, and I was like, Cliff Chang, I don't know about this guy. I'm not sure about his art based on the preview stuff. Man, I fell in love with his art over the next year and a half now. So yeah, he's good.
Yeah, like I said, it's all the little stuff that goes on in the book. I love that too. It's not just the main plot point. It's the little stuff, the little characterizations that are going on. Like I said, I love the character war in it. He's such a refreshing take from what we've seen of war in the past. I'm just looking forward to where it's going. And I've got this new big storyline of there's some child of Zeus that's going to be the death of the gods. Well, now you've got the new gods potentially coming in. You've got Orion in the book now. And so is this child that's going to cause the death of the gods? Is it the death of the Greek gods, or is it the death of the new gods? Is it this latest child that was just born? Is it Wonder Woman? Is it the first son of Zeus, bastard child of Zeus that has been buried in the Arctic and has now reappeared? I mean, there's just a lot of potential ways this whole thing could just go, totally crazy and cool. So
yeah,
I really, really hope that DC just leaves them alone and lets them, tell their story, because it is a book that has its own voice.
Yeah. And when you first started talking about this, where I thought you were going with this was that Wonder Woman seems to have really no ties to the rest of the DC universe that we read in these other comics. And a lot of people I've heard talking about Batman Incorporated with Grant Morrison, they say that similarly with him in that book. But I see Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang and the other Tony Akins on Wonder Woman doing a similar thing, but no one really seems to be talking about that, and the fact that Wonder Woman's off in her own little universe over here in her title.
Yeah, but in the Grant Morrison one, I mean, don't you think that I haven't read much of that. I've just read bits and pieces. I haven't been collecting the new run of the Batman Incorporated. He's almost thumbing his nose up at the rest of the DC 52 reboot, isn't he, in that book? It just feels like there's these things that he does in it that just kind of...
See, I maybe, and I've heard other people say that too, or remark about that, but it seems to me that he just ignored the whole relaunch. He's just telling his story as he started several years ago when he was doing... Right. When he started, was it in Detective or Batman that he was doing that in?
It was Batman.
Yeah.
And then Batman and Robin, and then Batman Incorporated. Yeah.
Right. So I think he's just, somehow, it's Grant Morrison. He could pretty much do anything he wants apparently at DC. Right. He just kind of went, there's this new 52 thing, whatever, and just kept going. I mean, other than the fact that they had to take Stephanie Brown out after the New 52 launched, except for that whole Leviathan special thing. Yeah. But that was because that those issues had been done already. I think I'm just guessing here. I don't know for sure. But why else would they still have Stephanie in it and release that book after the New 52 launched?
That was an ugly mess.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's necessarily thumbing his nose at, but I would say he's just ignoring what's going on.
Right.
But because the look of the characters, they Batman and Robin look like Batman and Robin do in the New 52, and not that there was a whole lot of difference anyway. But I don't know. But back to Wonder Woman though, it's to me it's the same kind of thing. It's just like Azzarello has this idea of what Wonder Woman should be, and DC's letting him play in his own little sandbox, and I think that's great.
Yeah, needs to be more of that.
Oh yeah.
There needs to be more of that.
That's
one of the things that's wrong with DC now, but that's a whole other podcast.
You're right. And I agree with you. It's not that I hate how Wonder Woman is portrayed in other comics. what I don't like is the inconsistency and the fact that especially like Jeff Johns, he's the what the hell's his title? Chief Creative Officer or something like that.
Yep.
You would think that
that's his job, is to make sure that everything stays consistent.
You would think, or at least be conscious of it.
Is that why he sat around for the on set at like the Green Lantern movie and whatnot? His job is to make sure that they hold true to the comics in the DC universe. That's his job, is to make sure that stuff all stays square. And I hate his version of Wonder Woman. Hate it. Except for her punching Hal Jordan in the face.
Wait. So do you hate it in comparison to what Azarel is doing, or just hate it?
I hate it in comparison to what Azrael is doing, and I really, really, really dislike it anyway. The latest issue with the whole, "Oh, Clark, I'm so glad you taught me to put glasses on so I can have a secret identity." That's awful. Awful. And insulting.
Oh my God, Travis, that was the best Diana impression I've ever heard.
Wasn't it?
Well,
too bad you don't have video. You can see me twirl around.
I guess you and I have to disagree. I thought that was a sweet little scene in that comic.
Awful. Yeah, a sweet little scene if Wonder Woman basically is nothing, if she's just some boring generic secondary character that's some love interest to Superman.
You're right. You're absolutely right there.
She is by far the lesser, weaker, and unimportant character in that relationship, and that's just stupid. What's the point of having the relationship if that's what she's going to be? She could just as easily be any other throwaway female character who has superpowers.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're right. But think of it this way. Not that they're doing this, but this is how I kind of reconcile this inconsistency in my own little brain. I read the Wonder Woman in Justice League as the Wonder Woman who is not in Azzarello's work, but is the Wonder Woman who first came to man's world and is a bit naive, as you would, and ignorant of what's going on around her, and so not as well versed in how things work and whatnot. There was that scene where she has ice cream for the first time.
Ice cream, right? That was cute.
Yeah. So there's that kind of stuff. And the Wonder Woman in Azzarello is the Wonder Woman 5 years from now, from that time period.
But we're not 5 years.
I know that's the problem, is that it's supposed, I guess, going on at the same time, and that doesn't work. But
yeah, I don't agree with that. But.
Well, I said this is how I'm able to try and reconcile it in my own little brain. So.
Yeah,
you're right.
I don't try to reconcile it. I just say that the Wonder Woman in Justice League is horseshit, and that's how it is. Excuse me.
Yeah. Now, Travis, I'm gonna have to put the explicit rating on this episode.
Just delete that part.
I think I'm starting to come around to your line of thinking. We've talked about this before, where maybe Jeff Johns needs to not write certain characters.
Yeah.
Certain books, maybe. So, all right. Well, let's move on. We've talked this to death. Oh wait, no. Lee. I gotta mention Lee's favorite. Oh wait, I didn't talk about mine.
Sorry.
All right. Here we go. It'll be really quick because I chose Saga.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's with Danger Club as my honorable mention. But Danger Club, like I said before, in the previous episode, maybe. Only came out with 4 issues during the year, and Saga, was up to 6 or 7 by year's end?
Yeah, by year's end, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but Saga is just phenomenal, and we talked about that a lot in the previous episode, and I'm sure it will come up again in other categories here. But okay, so Lee, our friend Lee chose best ongoing. Can you guess?
Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead, yeah. And he's not wrong. It's an excellent comic. Mm-hmm. Have you actually read the comics, Travis?
Started to? I dabbled into the first trade a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I've been meaning to start picking them up again, thinking that probably now I'd be more interested in actually reading it. The first time I sat down to read it, I was already in. It's gonna be a frickin' stupid zombie story, and I could care less. And
yeah.
I had other things to read, and so I just kind of poked at it and never really gave it an honest chance. And obviously, there is a lot more to the book that has really nothing to do with zombies whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
But has to do with,
And that's the best parts of the
but
book
has
too.
to do with people and survival
Yeah.
and what does that all mean and how do you deal with that? And obviously, if the book was crap, it wouldn't be on 106 or whatever issues it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go back and take a look at those things for, honestly, instead of with the eyes I had before towards it.
Well, I have the first 16 trades, Travis. So if you'd like to
Uh-huh.
borrow those, I would
Have to do that.
certainly let you do that, so you can fall in love with the book on the cheap.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless you go back and buy them yourself. Okay. Let's see. Here is the last of the best of categories, because then I had a bunch more categories that didn't quite go with the best of prefix. So here's the best media adaptation of a comic book series or a character or characters.
I'm gonna go with Young Justice.
Young Justice. My God, we are in sync here, Travis. That's what I chose as well.
Yep.
Young Justice. What? Well, you go ahead. Talk about Young Justice.
Well, I just think it's a great version of the characters, and they're actually it genuinely feels like they're going somewhere with it. They're telling us a real story with real consequences. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, like I said, I just really enjoy it. I think that they're, obviously it's not exactly what is in the comic book. That's okay. I mean, it's an adaptation of that. But like I said, each of the characters in it, they feel like characters. They feel like they have their own motivations as to whatever they're doing. You got this big story that's going that feels like it has impact and importance and whatnot. And I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And just the character designs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're some of them are tweaked very, very slightly. Others are tweaked a lot more. But it's just, you know what? Young Justice to me is what, in some ways, I thought the New 52 should have done with the DC universe. In the sense that that we have a fresh new look, a fresh new take on these characters and these situations to some degree, but not wholesale cutting them from
right.
new cloth. As have been done in some cases, and you're right. Well, of course, I'm going to have a soft spot for it because it starts out with, the teenage, the sidekick characters,
right?
And that's where it really started from in the first season, right? And there were some interesting stories told there. But then when they switched to the Young Justice Invasion part of the story, where
right.
and what you're talking about when talking about the story and the consequences and whatnot, that's really where that shifted into gear.
Yeah,
was
definitely.
the invasion thing. And I was pretty wary of that when they did that whole 5-year jump.
Yeah.
And now Robin is Nightwing and all that stuff. And
it was abrupt.
Yeah, very abrupt. Because what I figured on that, because we got what two seasons of just Young Justice before it went to, or was it just one?
It was just one.
Okay, and
so one.
Yeah, the way that what they call seasons, I don't.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't understand it. I have the DVDs, but I think. No, it says season 1, part 1, and part 2. Okay, anyway, there we go. I'm looking at them across the room here. So I figured, when they first announced this whole Young Justice Invasion thing, I'm like, 5 years later, why would they do? Because the way that what they had set up in that first season, they could have easily went on for at least one more season, if not two, doing those kinds of stories with those characters.
Right.
And all first season they after the first season they totally switched that up and do what they're doing. So I was really leery about that. But then I started watching. I'm like, oh my God, this is even better because there's all these other characters, and you're right, and the grand story that's going on, and we still don't know, the full effect of what happened with the Justice League characters and what's going to happen to them now that they've gone off to wherever it is to
atone for their crimes.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say pay for their crimes, but that's not the right connotation. But yeah, so. And I just love the look of it. I just love how everything looks, the voices that they have doing it. The guy who does Batman, Bruce Greenwood, in this.
Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
my God. I always said before that Kevin Conroy was the voice of Batman,
Right.
and then Bruce Greenwood did Batman's voice in one of the movies. I think it was the Red Hood movie, Under the Red Hood.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what he did. And then they brought him in to do Batman in Young Justice, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the better voices for Batman I've ever heard.
Yep.
Even including Kevin Conroy, who is, he's top of the list, but man, Bruce
Hmm.
Greenwood's right there. But yeah, just that I love it. I'm kind of surprised you chose that. I don't know why, but I figured you
What
would
did you
choose
think
something.
I was going to
I
choose?
have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I because I know you watch it, but you and I haven't really talked about the cartoon
Hmm.
all that much, so I'm glad to hear you say that, Travis.
All right.
I did want to mention, honorable mention. I chose the Avengers movie
Yeah,
because
whatever.
that was come on, that was an awesome movie. Awesome movie.
Awesome. I don't know about awesome. It was fun.
But yeah, Young Justice definitely. I'm so and wait, Travis, I do know what I thought you would choose. I thought for sure you would choose Green Lantern the animated series.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
You're actually missing out. That's
I
that's
watch
getting
it.
quite
I've
good.
watched every single damn episode of that thing. I watch it.
Oh, you
I
still
watch
watch
it.
it?
I watch it for the DC shorts that go on in between if nothing
Oh,
else.
good Lord.
I watch them so I get to see him shoot a boxing glove arrow and stuff. That's why I watch it.
You talking about the interstitial stuff?
Yes, that's why I
The
watch it.
boxing glove.
Like I watch the interstitial stuff. That, and I always have this vain hope that someone will actually kick the holy crap out of Hal Jordan. And actually, I don't mind the character. I don't mind the character Hal Jordan in that animated series.
Yeah.
I just don't like the animation.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the CGI computer. I understand why you do it. You can do so much more, blah 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 with it. I think it's lifeless, dull, and crappy. I don't
Yeah.
care for it at all. Give me a cartoon, and I would love it to pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. All right. Well, again, you surprised me. I didn't think you were watching Green Lantern.
Yeah, like I said, I watch it so I can watch him shoot boxing glove arrows
All right.
in between.
Oh, wait. Did you see the one? I'm going off tangent or on tangent here. It was a couple weeks ago where it was the guy on the track supposedly running the gauntlet of Flash's Rogues Gallery, and he just jumped over what do they call those things that you jump over when you run around a track?
Hurdles.
Hurdles, thank you.
Uh,
How lame. That was so
yeah,
stupid.
that was sad.
Some of those are okay, but man,
Give me the silly claymation people eating cookies and talking about things any day over the.
yeah, I don't like that. So the fact that this is how Flash would do it
Yeah.
is makes the worst list of the DC stuff. Okay, anyway, let's get back on track. Says the guy who takes us off track all the time. Okay, all right, Young Justice is our choice. Lee has a choice here. His choice for best media adaptation, Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't surprise me, considering how much he loves those movies.
Yeah, and he might be in it somewhere.
Oh, that's right. Did we ever find out?
I haven't talked to him again about it to find out for sure whether or not he was. I mean, I know he's in the crowd scene, but can you actually see him in the crowd scene? I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, and that's
Football.
and when I went to see the movie, I asked him about that to see, is there any way I can tell? And he told me that there was either he was holding a sign or he's next to a sign or something like that.
The rogue.
Right,
sign.
right.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching the movie, but there's just so much going on. And
The end zones, yeah, it's tough.
I think it's going to have to be one of those things where you get the DVD and put it on pause and just go frame by frame to see. So.
Right. And he may be the only one that could point it out.
Yeah, that's true. So, hey Lee, let us know if you're in Dark Knight Rises. We'd really like to know.
Still pretty sweet to even be on set for that.
No doubt. That would be
cool.
Yeah, so much fun. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to the other categories. I guess is what they didn't fit. Like I said, they didn't fit. You can't say best of this, so they were just their own little thing. And so I have for the first one, most surprising.
Huh.
And I left that open for interpretation.
Yeah. Um, I didn't really have anything for that. I mean, there's a couple things that kind of fit under a number of these, like most surprising, most disappointing, and the Bonehead
Mm-hmm.
Award thing. I got pretty much one thing that to me falls under all of
Oh,
those.
really? Okay.
Yeah, and that's the ungraceful sacking of Gail Simone
Ah.
off of Batgirl and the way that whole process happened. I mean, granted, she's now rehired, yay, whatever. And it was never so much my issue that they decided they didn't want her on Batgirl anymore. It's the way that it sounded like it went about that happening.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody just dropped her an email saying, by the way, we're not using you on the book anymore, as opposed to even giving her a phone call or whatever. Just to me, just baffled me and seemed in incredibly poor taste considering the fact I can't think of a creator that is championed DC more than Gail Simone. I mean, just the company and what the characters represent and them at, universally that is championing them more than Gail Simone has over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know she's not under contract. Her contract expired sometime this year, so she's not under contract anymore. But she's still just a huge advocate of the company and the people and all that. And for that whole the way that whole thing happened, I guess it was surprising. It was disappointing, the way that they treated her and whatnot. And quite frankly, I just thought it was retarded of them to have done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's your pick for those three categories.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I actually have that down as a possibility for the Bonehead Award. So we'll get to that in a bit. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I chose for most surprising was Hawkeye. Just because of what I said before in the previous episode about Hawkeye. I went into, or I didn't go into it at all because I figured it was just this, I don't know, some sort of a money grab, if you will, by Marvel to tie into Hawkeye's new cachet with a larger audience because of the Avengers movie.
Sure.
And then I start hearing after the first issue or two hit the stands, I start hearing I start hearing this rumbling in the background, like, Hawkeye, wow, you should be reading Hawkeye.
Right.
Hawkeye. I'm like, what? Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
And then I actually went to the comic book shop that I go to in Spokane and talking with my friend Matt up there, and he's like, have you read Hawkeye? And I was like, no. He's like, you should read Hawkeye. And Matt has steered me into some really cool titles before over the years, and so I kind of trust his judgment on this kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. He actually had a second printing, or maybe it was a third printing of issue 1. I think it was a third printing I actually got.
Mm-hmm.
and I got issue 1 and 2, I think, or maybe and 3. I can't remember now. Anyway, I read those, and I'm like, and I texted him that night after I got back home, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I chose that. I did also honorable mention. I wanted to mention Legends of the Dark Knight, the print.
Oh God, that's a great book, isn't it?
So yeah, so it's a digital first, but then they collected them into a print form, and oh yeah. I first, I don't know why. It was same or similar situation. It was I started hearing rumblings about this Legends of the Dark Knight thing, from people online, and so I'm like, I'll try it out. It's coming out. I'll see. It'll be an easy thing to drop because it's not continuity.
Right. I love that.
And it's different interpretations by different creative teams.
I love that too.
I love that too. Right. So I pick it up and I read that first issue. I'm like, holy crap, this is the Bat book people should be reading.
Oh, no kidding.
So
because it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing and just kind of fun because they are just calling in these creative teams to just kind of basically write whatever you want to write. I'm sure within reason, but write whatever you want to write and just kind of throwing it out there. It's been a hoot. I love that. That is an extremely fun book to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites or it's one of the books I look forward to reading every month. So, All right, that's most surprising. Lee has one for this, and he chose Bloodshot from Valiant.
Hmm.
I'll have to disagree with him on that. I'm not enjoying that one as much as some of the others, but I'm really curious though, Lee, when you listen to this, um, what was surprising about Bloodshot? Was it just the expectation? Was it the comparison between the old series and the new series, or what? I'd really like to know what that.
See, my interpretation, the reason I didn't pick up Bloodshot when it first came out is I thought it was just going to be, it was just Valiant's version of the Punisher.
Hmm.
Is the impression I got. Some guy that's, I don't know, dressed in silver or the red dot on his chest. He's got a bunch of guns and he shoots the hell out of everything. And I'm like going, I don't, what's the, I don't, I, I'm not a big Punisher fan anyway. I like certain things about the Punisher, but I'm not a big Punisher fan. So why would I want to read somebody else's version of that?
Hmm.
And that's when, after it came out, Lee started telling me, oh no, this is more of a, kind of a sci-fi kind of a, more of a science fiction-ish kind of a title with him, being the type of person that he is and them, rewriting his brain all the time
Hmm.
and,
Yep.
all the implications of that and whatnot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a much more interesting premise than what I thought it was.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what Lee's surprise was with it, but that would be mine if I was going to be talking about Bloodshot.
Yeah, yeah. So the first couple issues really impressed me actually, with what like you described, what they did with him and why and then his struggle, the main character struggles with that. The problem I'm having right now is it just kind of feels like it's not really going anywhere just yet. But that I think I'm just getting impatient in general uh, with comics. We talked about this over Twitter.
Yeah.
You and I about oh God, I can't remember what title it was that I said. Oh, I Vampire.
Right.
And I said, it felt like the title's been kind of running in place for a while now. So I'm not all that concerned that it's been canceled.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know. And I'm kind of feeling the same way with Bloodshot, but it's still, I mean, it's still a good read. Like I said in the previous episode, Valiant is putting out some good stuff, and people should be checking it out. Okay, let's go on to most disappointing. You firing of Gail Simone. That's your pick for that.
Well, that and there's some books that got
Okay, go ahead.
That and actually the most disappointing moments for me was them canceling Vertigo's Hellblazer.
Yeah.
I mean, that still really bothers me. I still think it's a huge mistake. I think they're I've destroyed a title that, supposedly they're going to restart a version of it in the DC universe proper, but we all know it's not going to be the same book. There's no way.
Oh no.
There's no way. There's no way it will have the edge.
Mm-mm.
This Constantine that they've got going in the DC universe now does not have any of the charm that and I use the word charm in kind of a different way when it comes to John Constantine, but that the character in the Hellblazer title has. So I'm just hoping now that as we roll into this new year, that at least they send the book off in a dignified fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, close to, well, it's going to go until issue 300, but for it to have gone that long and basically them simply, from everything I can see and understand, is that they simply just think that they're going to get more dollar value out of him if they just, or it's going to be too confusing if there are two versions of the guy. So they have to put him all in one place, and that they are wrecking a legacy to do that. I think that's crap.
So that argument that having two different versions being confusing or whatever. So why do they have Legends of the Dark Knight then?
Right. Well, yeah.
Why do they have Wonder Woman?
Yeah. I think it's crazy, but I mean that's, and I think they think giving him a new title with a number one, and they for some reason they don't think that their audience that might be interested in Constantine from the Dark Justice book wouldn't be willing or don't have enough smarts to go and find the other John Constantine book that's out there. I mean, granted, that book can't be read by everybody that can read or shouldn't be read by everybody who can read the the Justice League Dark version of the character. Everybody who reads that shouldn't be going out and reading the Vertigo title, but certainly there are plenty of people who who could. Plus the fact I think that I think there's more opportunity the other way around. I think there's more opportunity for young adults to be interested in picking up a trade of Hellblazer and going, ooh, I like this character, and then maybe hearing that character's in other comic books with superheroes and going, I wonder what that'd be like to see him with superheroes, and venture into reading superhero comics where they may not have been anyway. Whereas now they're going to completely eliminate that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But it is what it is, I guess.
And if you want to see Travis's
nerd rage,
go check out his YouTube site.
Yeah.
And what was that a What the Fugue, or was it?
It was a What the Fugue. I can't remember off the top of my head what issue of What the Fugue it was.
Yeah.
But
that was good. I enjoyed that. Okay, so most disappointing for me, honorable mention, I'll say Smallville season 11, just because this was written by Brian Q. Miller, and I expected, I don't know, something else than what I got. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but I don't know. I guess I expected more Batgirl-like writing, and then I didn't get that, I don't think. So, but then again, I was never a real big fan of Smallville, the TV series, so I don't know what I was expecting. But what I chose for the winner, if you will, for most disappointing, was Mind the Gap. Did you read that series?
No.
Yeah.
I've been thinking that I want to go and read it just because I've really liked Matt Kent's work in Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. You didn't like that series though, huh?
No, I guess from the hype of it, I expected more than I got. Plus, well, I won't say that. The art is great because the guy who does the covers to Morning Glories is doing the interior art, but the story itself, I know it seemed to rely upon more of the mystique of the whodunit and less on character. And that's what I read. That's why I read. Doesn't matter what I'm reading, if it's comic or other thing. I want a story that has characters. And I wasn't really getting that. I mean, there's some stuff in there, but this is by Jim McCann, not Kent.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm never mind. You're right, because I'm thinking of, I can't think of the name of it.
Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I expected. I don't know. I just expected an interesting story, and I wasn't really getting that. But I may have just dropped it prematurely. So, but the art was lovely. I like the art. Okay. Most disappointing from Lee. You'll like this, Travis. City of Heroes being shut down.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. That does fall under the whole superhero thing.
Yeah, it's related. I'm allowing.
Hey, you could probably find another What the Fugue where I bitch about that too.
Yeah, we haven't really talked a whole lot on the podcast about our beloved City of Heroes MMO. Yeah. But my God, that was talk. Yeah,
8-year investment.
Yeah, thousands of dollars. Most disappointing, boy. I did think of putting that in here, as well as a couple other categories.
I guess I didn't think about putting it in there because I try not to think about it.
Yeah, well, it's when something painful happens to you, Travis, that is how the mind copes sometimes. What a great game that was.
Yep.
I mean, we're trying Champions Online right now, and I don't know how you're feeling about it, Travis, but I'm not feeling the love.
It's okay. I mean, it's the same, but it's different, and that's what makes it not as good.
Uh,
And I
I
find it
think you're being
frustrating.
very gracious there when you say
I
the
I
same.
don't know. And I think because there are things about it I think are fun though about Champions Online. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
not nearly as many as there were for City Heroes. My other issue with it is, of course, we're playing the free version, so you're so incredibly limited on
that's
what you
true.
can't do. I think we got spoiled
Hmm.
with the versions of City Heroes we had too, where we were kind of limitless on what we could what we could mess around with and whatnot. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
but
not the same.
great graphics, great character creator.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the missions, they after a while they're kind of the same thing, but there was a charm to that game, and maybe I'm looking back, it ended it on November 30th last year, and maybe I'm looking back, almost 2 months later with rose-colored glasses or something, but I don't know, I loved that game, and I'm a comic geek, and I like science fiction, and that kind of geekdom and whatnot. But I never really got into gaming. You're more of a gamer than I am.
yeah,
But that one I just fell absolutely in love with,
yep.
and with it gone, it's you know Sunday nights and on occasion Tuesday nights just aren't the same.
That's for sure.
I mean, we're like I said, we're trying with on Sunday nights, playing Champions Online, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm just not feeling it. God, I missed that game.
Yeah,
So yeah, good choice, Lee.
yep, definitely.
This is going to come up, like I said, more from me and from him. You'll see that or hear that in a second, Travis.
Hmm.
All right, let's go to the next one. Canceled before its time. See, this is perfect for City of Heroes, and I
Yeah.
actually I actually had that down, but I tried to keep it more comic related.
Uh, I put Frankenstein Agent of Shade because I think the book has gotten much better, and I've always kind of liked the book, and then Jeff Lemire quit writing it, and
Then it got better.
yes,
Oh,
the next guy that took
I was
over.
joking.
No, the next guy that took over gave him even a stronger voice, his own personal, not just going through the motions of what's there, but and it's just gotten really good and really interesting, and going into the rot world, his part of it's been incredibly cool and really fun. Um, and they've added more plot twists in the last issue, and just this last Wednesday the final issue came out, and I haven't gotten my copy yet, but I'm just curious as to how they're going to cinch it up, because it I, he's got a kind of quasi girlfriend, and she's pregnant, and as of issue 15. So I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know how they're going to cinch that up in a single issue, or if they're just going to leave the characters running around. I mean, I know Frankenstein. They're moving him to be a permanent member of Justice League Dark, which is cool in a way, but it's still not his own book.
so
And
but isn't that canceled?
what?
Frankenstein?
Yes, so I'm saying it got canceled before its time.
Oh,
It should keep going.
well,
I think it should keep going. I think it's a mistake that they canceled the thing. So
what I mean is, so it's done right now. It's not that they announced it's canceled.
it's
It's
it
done.
yes.
Okay.
This last Wednesday, as of us recording this last Wednesday, the final issue came out.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. That's why I said that.
Yes.
Because I couldn't remember if it was done a while ago
No.
or if it was just about done or like you said, it
Right.
just got done. Okay.
Just this week was its final issue.
Yeah, because I don't
And,
I don't follow that comic at
yeah.
all. So.
And the week before that, like I said, the week before that, his love interest is has announced that she's with child, and so I'm curious to see how in a single issue they kind of
Ah,
take care of it.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. I chose creator-owned heroes, and it wasn't so much for the comic book content. It was the experiment, the magazine slash comic concept that Palmiotti and who else? Steve
Justin Gray.
Niles and who?
Justin Gray.
Yeah, and Gray and whoever else they got in to do that. I just like the like I said, the concept of it, the idea of having this mishmash of stuff be presented to you. Because really, I read the comics and they were fine. but really it was all the other stuff, the interviews that they did, and the the how-tos in some cases.
And see, I didn't care for that part of it
Oh.
because to me it felt like to me it felt like it was stuff that I read on the internet all the time. So I mean, if I've got time to if this comic book had come out back in the day when me and you were first collecting comics and stuff in the 80s, I would have loved this to death because it would be the only way to get that information. It didn't really feel to me like they were, I mean, even like his interview, even the interview they did with like Neil Gaiman, for instance, and whatnot, it didn't tell me anything that I haven't seen or heard in other interviews that are just floating around out there in all the news things and all that kind of stuff. And so I appreciate the idea of what it was that they were doing there, but that wasn't a draw for me either. That was just extra pages. I don't know. And like I said, I love those guys. I mean, I read a lot of the stuff they do and whatnot, and I respect them for what they're trying to do. I decided that, like 6 issues in, that part of it didn't really interest me. I was there reading it for the stories and the comics. That's what I wanted the book for. I guess I decided I'm not interested in reading a rag about comics because there's enough stuff just floating around the internet. I can pretty much get my fill and more of any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, but I'll counter that with what I really enjoyed of that stuff was that there was a particular vision, although you may not have known what that vision was exactly, but it was Jimmy Palmiotti's vision more or less for that kind of stuff, and that's what I was kind of responding to was his push of here's the kind of stuff that interests me. I hope it interests you too, and it was for me.
Sure. But I guess my thing is I follow him on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and so I get a large portion of that from him without having to purchase a comic book to get it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's like part of my. It's like kind of the same thing as far as with the internet and whatnot. I used to much more avidly follow Warren Ellis when he had his own kind of space on the internet. So I read more stuff, read what he was talking about, read what was interesting to him, read all of his little news blips that he used to put out and that sort of stuff. And then at the same time, I was trying to read the current comic book he had at the time, which was Dr. Sleepless. Well, I got kind of tired of reading Dr. Sleepless because in Dr. Sleepless, he was kind of addressing and playing with and talking about the stuff that he was talking about on his own kind of blog and whatnot. It felt like I was just it felt like I was reading a fiction version of the stuff that he's interested in, which would be fine. I probably would have enjoyed the comic much more if I wasn't following the creator. So I guess maybe my answer is to quit following people and then that stuff will all be new and interesting to me, and it won't be stuff that I already have a feel for.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Lee chose Cancel Before It's Time, City of Heroes.
Agreed. 100%.
Yep.
That hurt more than any other cancellation.
It did. You're right. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So let's, speaking of things that hurt, the Bonehead Award is what I have next. And you chose The Firing of Gale.
Yep.
For that. Okay. So I had a couple other just thoughts on what some winners could be, and one was Tony Harris fangirl rant.
My God!
Yeah, wow.
What a fucking idiot! What an idiot! All right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that whole thing was just ridiculous and
insulting.
Yeah, and not
insulting to everybody. That's just it.
I mean, but you know what's even worse, Travis? It wasn't that he said it. It was that all the the supposed I'll just say fanboys out there who agreed with it.
Yeah. Well, and he continued to defend it too. That's what I mean. Everybody will occasionally have stuff come out of their mouth that's not really their intention of saying it in that way or it coming across that way and whatnot. But that obviously wasn't the case here.
Yeah. The other thing I put down there, and I also put down the firing of Gail Simone for a quote unquote honorable mention. But Rob Liefeld's
Liefeld, yeah, that's
Twitter rant.
Oh God.
That almost won.
Oh, that's
I
pretty
almost
awesome.
chose that one for this category, but what I chose was death threats from fans.
Yeah,
So
that's sad.
oh God, I almost
Dan
said Scott
Slott.
Snyder. Dan Slott, thank you. Dan Slott got death threats for the whole Spider-Man thing. Who else got death threats? Uh, I think even Gail was saying, don't. Maybe people were sending death threats to her editor. I can't remember if that was the case, but just anytime a comic book fan sends death threats to creators or publishers or who, I don't care who it is or what it
Right,
is,
right.
grow the hell up.
No kidding. Yeah, ridiculous.
It's bad enough, like I said, the fanboys agreeing with Tony Harris. I mean, people actually threatening someone's life, even joking,
Yeah,
is just asinine.
yeah. It's a comic book, for God's sake.
Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. It's just ink on paper. Come on.
Right,
I love this stuff. We love this stuff as much as the next
for
uh,
sure.
fan of comics, but good lord.
Yeah.
All right. Um, enough said on that. Except for Lee's choice for Bonehead Award. Uh, can you guess?
Go ahead.
NCSoft.
Yep.
Which is, for those that don't know, the publisher of City of Heroes, who decided to pull the plug on City of Heroes,
Even though it was making money.
even though it was making money. Yeah, so good choice there, Lee. I'm liking this theme so far.
uh,
Okay, Travis, do you have a choice for a title that's not getting enough attention?
Title that's not getting enough attention. No, I don't. Any of the stuff that I think is really great, I don't. I know enough other people who think it's great too. That yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't think of anything that I didn't think wasn't getting the fanfare it deserved.
Well, I would disagree with you, and
Okay.
I chose Danger Club, and I've mentioned this before.
Mhm.
I think in this part of the best of, but I think I mentioned the last one too. But Danger Club is a title I think is not getting enough attention. But that I just love the title, so you need to go read it. It's so good, like I said before. The whole sidekick, having the sidekick group having to step into the shoes of their older contemporaries and deal with the situation and all that ensues. And then there's these lovely little throwback pages to these were comic pages about these characters in the comic that is Silver Age-esque or even Bronze Age-esque. It's the way that what the creative team puts into this is just lovely bits of comics. Let's see. Lee chose The Spider from Dynamite,
Mm.
which I did read the first 5 issues of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting. I was actually going to do an episode on this to compare the Spider and the Shadow,
Uh-huh.
and there is a connection between those two characters. If you go back and investigate, and I don't have my notes, so I don't remember what it was. But I think the Spider was a reaction to the Shadow, or maybe it was vice versa. I don't remember now, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's the former, not the latter. But anyway, it was an interesting read. It was very much I'm gonna kill you because you're a bad guy type book, but the art
Mm-hmm.
was interesting. Um, so there you go. That's Lee's choice. Let's see. And the last 2 categories, looking. Well, okay. Let's do. Yeah, no. I was gonna switch them at the last second, but now I've decided not to do that, Travis. Future project. What are you looking forward to in 2013 and beyond?
The 2013, the Neil Gaiman
Ah,
and J.H. Williams III Sandman that's supposed to come out sometime
I figured you'd say that.
mid-year. So that combination, that subject matter, as long as Neil has some magic still left in the bottle that he can uncork, that could just be, an incredible book with those two creators.
Do we know?
I think.
Do we know? Is this going to be a graphic novel, or is it going to be a series of issues?
I thought it was going to be a series of issues, but I have no
Okay.
idea.
All right. I simply don't recall, but I could
Yeah.
see it. I could see it being either one. But knowing the business
There's more business market
to
to
do,
release singles
yeah.
and then do a.
But they did do the that Sandman
Yeah.
Dream something, Dream Hunters, Dream Masters. I don't remember what it is now, and I can't see it from my desk here. It's on my shelf, but I can't quite make it out. Anyway, I think it's Dream Hunters. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that actually made my list as well. As
That
far as,
that and there is just a slew of image titles that have kind of got announced, this last year and towards the tail end that are supposed to be coming out this year that sound like a lot of them could just be, over the top cool. So,
do you remember what they're called?
um, no, not exactly. I mean, I'm looking forward to the one that's actually in solicitations now, I believe. Um, what is it? East West or East versus West?
Oh yeah, that. hmm
Looking forward to that.
Is it East of West?
East of West or something like that. Yeah, that one sounds, crazy and cool. I know that um, Kelly Sue DeConnick and Emma Rios, is that how you say her
Rios?
last name?
Yeah.
They've got a female lead kind of spaghetti western type book that they're putting out that sounds pretty exciting. I know that Matt Fraction and Howard, oh crap, what's his name? Chenkin are doing together. That I'm just curious. The combination of
Oh
those
yeah.
the combination of those two creators together just
hmm
could be either a total train wreck or it could just be something just absolutely crazy and over the top kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
There's
to
just a
check that
lot
one
of there's just a lot of it seems like there's a lot of really interesting where people are going to explore some strange corners
out.
of some books that are coming out, which is I guess one of the beauties of Image as a whole. Just the fact is that they can they don't have a company or a particular product they have to protect in the same way that like the big two do as far
hmm
as not hurting their franchise or whatever. So, they can, whatever's going to happen. So,
Mm. Wow. So I'm looking at my choices, both in honorable mentions and my winner's pick, and I'm totally in the DC camp apparently, because I had Neil Gaiman's Sandman prequel
uh,
down. I had the Man of Steel movie because I am so
mm,
jonesing for
yeah,
Zack Snyder's Man of Steel movie. Oh my God, I can't wait to watch that movie.
hopefully be pretty cool.
Yeah, Snyder and Lee's Superman book
Mm,
that's coming out this year.
hmm
I also have down Trinity War in the Justice League stuff, but that's kind of a minor one. But my choice for a future project is Grant Morrison's Multiversity.
Do you think we're really going to see that this year?
I don't know. I'm thinking not, but I mean, I did read at one point that he said it was going to come out this year, or at least start coming out this year.
Right. I just wonder if it's really going to happen or not.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder too.
I mean,
But
I think that they'll do it if they do it, kind of a thing. I don't think DC's like saying don't do it, but I don't know that. I mean, is Grant really going to do it? I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Curious on that one.
Well, regardless, I mean, if he
I'll
does it,
pick it up.
yeah,
I mean, if
I
it
mean,
happens,
if
there's
it
no
comes
doubt.
out this year, next year, 5 years from now, I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
I'm gonna pick it up. So yeah, that's my winner for Future Project. I should have switched them after all, because Future Project is a nice way to end this best of 2012 episode. Because then we're
Mm.
looking at, but I didn't. And so, oh well, here we go with the final category, wild card. This is whatever you wanted to plug in here that doesn't really fit anywhere else, or maybe you wanted to choose uh, a different or choose something different for another category. I didn't really define it that well, so
I got nothing.
you got nothing for wild card. Okay.
I got nothing. Because if I was going to say it, I would have already said it.
Yeah.
Damn the Bulls.
I actually had a hard time with this one. It's a catch-all category that you can put
Right.
anything in there, right? I'm like, I don't know about that. Um, let me end with Lee's choices. He had wild card down here, and he chose Valiant owned this year is what he says.
Mm.
So okay, yeah. Um, my choice for wild card, and so Lee already touched on this a bit, but I chose City of Heroes as the best superhero game ever.
No argument there.
I had to get City of Heroes in there somehow. So there you go.
For me, it's just bad memory. I'm trying to forget.
I can't forget. Every time I come down to my office, Travis, and turn on my
Oh, I know.
computer, the City of Heroes box that I bought
Yeah.
just over 8 years ago, or
Yep.
yeah, just over 8 years ago, is sitting there staring at me, saying, "Play me, please play me," and I can't. Wow, we talked a lot about something that no one can actually interact with anymore.
Well, they missed out.
Yeah, they definitely did. All right. Well, that's it. That's our best of 2012, and all in its part 1 and 2 glory. I can't believe we talked that much. All right. Let's see. Travis, is there anything that you wanted to mention for 2013 as far as, your video blog or anything else?
No, I don't think so. I mean, my suggestion to anybody who's listening is that, and I say this a lot on my video blog and whatnot, is to, take some chances, expand your comic book reading horizons. It's not all just about the big two and superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books and sequential arts is a incredible medium that can tell stories that can't be told any other way, and they can tell so many different types of stories, and guaranteed there are stories out there for you by somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and okay, so I'll give you the corollary to that, and don't just ignore superheroes just because they're superheroes.
Oh, without doubt.
Or anything put out by the big two, just because they're put out by the big two.
They're not cool anymore.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous to sequester one company or one title or one creative team or whatever just because they belong to some arbitrary camp in your mind.
They're Marvel. They suck.
Yeah, exactly. We don't think that.
No.
Obviously we don't think DC's like that, but although I think we're starting to be a little disillusioned about how things are being done at DC, and that may be coloring our perception of some things. But there's a lot of good superhero stuff too. But you're absolutely right. I think maybe I should put this down as most surprising, but it's not really. It wasn't really a surprise to me. But there's a lot of good stuff come out this last year that I read that was not from DC and Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Saga, obviously,
Right.
being one of the big ones, but I just mentioned mere minutes ago how much I love Danger Club. It's superhero, yes, but it's a different take on it. It's not a DC or Marvel book, and just other great things out there. There's so many comics and so little time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, expand your horizons. That's a very good notion to put out there, and I think we'll end right there, Travis. Truer words have not been spoken.
Mm.
How do you like being the sage?
It's scary.
All right. So again, send your feedback to longboxreview@gmail.com, or there's a myriad other ways that you can send feedback as well. Just go to longboxreview.wordpress.com, click on the feedback button I forgot to mention this. I did not do this last time. I have a new voicemail number, which is, hold on one second. Leave voicemail at 208-953-1841. I would love to get feedback there so I can play it on the show. That'd be great if you're so inclined, as long as it's polite. I guess that leaves you out, Travis.
I will be calling then.
All right. Anything else, Travis, before we get out of here?
Nope.
All righty. It's been great talking to you. We'll talk very soon. Thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody. So, in the week between releasing part 1 and this part 2, I had an interesting event occur. I was just a few days ago, as I'm recording this part of the audio, I was having a conversation with Travis over Twitter regarding his choice of Scott Snyder as favorite writer. During the course of this, however, this conversation that we were having over Twitter, I did mention Scott Snyder by name, but I didn't include his Twitter handle because I didn't want to call attention to it. I was just having a conversation with my friend. However, Scott Snyder somehow found out about it and left me a voicemail. Anyway, so I thought I would play that now.
Hey Eric, how are you doing? It's sorry, my kid's on my leg. It's Scott Snyder. I saw your post about and thank you for the kind words about my writing, but about me cramming in all the good ideas into Batman now because I'm going to Superman, and I can assure you personally that's not the case. We have a lot of fun stuff on Batman coming up after we begin Superman. I begin Superman with Jim too, so I'm just trying to put everything in, cram it all in all the time because I feel like I keep waiting for someone to kick me off these amazing characters. So anyway, thanks again for the note, and I hope everything's good with you guys. Bye.
So there you go. That was Scott Snyder. Thank you, Scott. I very much appreciate your feedback, and that was just really cool. You made my day. Oh, and just so everybody knows, I did get Scott's permission to rebroadcast this voicemail. And then finally, I wanted to thank Lee for his contribution to the best of 2012 episodes. Lee, this is for you.